Hi guys, what's up? I'm Mary Richardson, a rapid transformational therapy practitioner. I hope you all are doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk about some questions that you might want to consider as you consider your anxiety and all of the ways that your anxiety manifests in your life. So I read this question and I thought it would be really interesting to post here. How would you describe your depression or anxiety metaphorically? If you had to describe it, is it like a rain shower? Is it like I don't know, what is it like for you? What is your anxiety like for you? Is it like a tornado that comes in really strong, really intense, and stirs up every part of your life and then just goes away? What is it like for you? So drop a comment, let me know, or share with it. You can comment now. I'm live, so you can comment in the comment section as well. So the other question I want to ask you is, do you find that social media helps your anxiety, whether it's procrastination, obsessive compulsive disorder, fears and phobias, depersonalization? All those are under the umbrella of anxiety. So first of all, drop a comment which one of those, or hopefully not all of them, but how does your anxiety manifest in your life? Does it manifest in panic attacks? Does it manifest where you just feel overwhelmed and you procrastinate? Does it come out in the sense of imposter syndrome, where nothing you do, you feel will be good enough? Does it come out with self-sabotage, that you are so used to, maybe as a kid, people sabotaging you, that now you do it for yourself? You sabotage, which is a real thing. It's a real thing as you grow up. If you don't have the love and care and compassion and empathy from those around you, you may feel that you never deserved it, or that kids always blame themselves. They don't blame the people around them. They blame themselves, that they feel like they must not be good enough to deserve it, or they must not be doing something right to deserve love, or that they have to work really, really hard for love, that it's not unconditional, that they have to, agree with their parents, or that disagreeing is not an option, and feeling their own feelings even is not an option. So consider, social media. If you're having fears, phobias, panic attacks, OCD, does OCD make your social media interaction better, worse? What is that like for you? And now for the learning stage of this video. So those were just a few questions you might want to consider. I'd like to know from you, how does your anxiety manifest the most? And are you able to see how it manifests, or does it take you a lot of time where you look back over time and you realize that you've been self-sabotaging in a lot of areas in your life? Or do you realize it in the moment that you are self-sabotaging by however you do that? So do you do it? Are you aware of what you're doing in the moment with your anxiety symptoms? In other words, if you have OCD, are you aware that you're having an OCD moment when you're having it? Or are you only aware when you look back over your day and you realize that you check the locks 20 times, or that however it manifests for you? Because anxiety and its symptoms can be rather sneaky and can be rather, I'd say, incognito. They kind of like to stay in the shadows, meaning that often what happens is people don't realize they're procrastinating. Because procrastination doesn't look like procrastination for everybody. In other words, my procrastination can look like where I'm just doing and doing and doing. I'm one thing after another. Yes, these are things on my to-do list, but I know the one thing that I really should be doing, I'm not doing. So, yes, I'm doing everything else on my list, but the most important thing on my list, I'm not doing, and I make sure that I never get to it. So that's when procrastination gets really bad for me, and that's why I have a list. So if I'm not crossing off things that I know are super high priority or super important to me, I know that procrastination is playing a part. And this video is not to get you to feel bad about yourself if you're procrastinating. When I'm procrastinating, it's a matter of me addressing it and saying, okay, what's up, self? Why am I not wanting to get to the one thing that has the most meaning for me? And then you just kind of let yourself vent, I just let myself admit, well, I'm afraid that I won't get it all done, or I'm afraid that I won't have time to do it all the way I want to do it. There's always, and then I look at other people and I realize, do they do everything perfectly? Because they've achieved a high amount of success, and I look at them as well and I say, well, are they doing everything perfectly, or are they just getting things done, knowing that they're hitting the high points, they're hitting the highest priority things on their list, and that's why they're moving forward in whatever area they're at. And I've achieved that as well, where I know I move forward when I can better prioritize my anxiety list, right? It's really a list of things that cause me anxiety, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed when you aren't getting things done. It's easy to feel like it's going to take you so long to get through that list, or so many things to get to that point where you're achieving your goals, maybe starting a business, or researching the business, or researching opening another, going back to a business that you had, maybe whatever it is for you. However your anxiety manifests, are you aware of it in the moment, or does it take a lot of introspection when you look back? I think in this video that high achievers, probably like you are if you're watching this, high achievers are usually pretty busy in their life. They're busy with their career. They're busy with their schooling if they're still in school. They're busy running their family. Now, it doesn't mean that they get to spend as much time with their family as they want, or as much time studying or researching. I think that anxiety shifts because we don't tolerate the same anxiety symptoms from day to day. Here's an example. One day, if I have my to-do list and I'm not achieving the one or two things that are the highest priority on there, I'm getting everything else done, which is great. But the one or two things that I know can really move me forward, if I'm not achieving that, the next day, that's the first thing I do. However, what anxiety can do is, because our brains are really smart, it shifts into something else. It shifts into OCD or into depersonalization, where now you're doing the next day, I'm doing everything on my list, but I feel like I'm not really present. Like I'm sort of kind of robotic, like I'm sort of out of my body. And it's usually because of some anxiety trigger. And now that I know this, I will ask myself, what triggered it? Why do I feel like I can't be in the moment? What is it that's so scary? And often it's something that I felt I should do, usually a family obligation, or it could be work related or business related, something that I felt I needed to do, but there's some element of fear of failure there. So I'll do it, but I have this lot of anxiety in the moment of What if it doesn't get done? What if I don't do it right? What if thoughts? What helps me though with the anxiety is, and how I've been able to really keep moving forward, because let's face it, there's nobody on the planet who doesn't have anxiety. And there just isn't. So the high achievers and the people that move forward are those that are able to manage their anxiety every day. Often I think people who treat anxiety, I think our expectation is that anxiety should just go away, and that high achievers just don't have anxiety, that it just goes away or they don't think about it. And that's not true. I think the opposite is true. I think the higher achiever that you are, the more anxiety you feel, you just have better tools to cope with it and to squash it down so that it doesn't control you. It doesn't control your time, and it doesn't keep you from moving forward. It doesn't keep you from taking positive actions. So if you want to move forward in spite of your anxiety, you got to get control of it rather than the anxiety panic attacks controlling you, where you feel like, oh, now I'm having a panic attack. Everything has to stop. I can't go and do what I want to do. I can't get enough sleep because now I'm having a panic attack. Instead of the panic attack and the anxiety, which is an anxiety symptom, instead of that controlling you, when you have better coping mechanisms and better tools to deal with your anxiety, that's where you really get your control back. And all of these videos that I've made on anxiety, it's not one size fits all. I offer a lot of different tools in dealing with anxiety, because not one thing may work for one person, but it might not work for somebody else. So when you work with me as an anxiety healer, I custom design, I tailor the process all to you and your experience with your anxiety. And one of the ways that I tell people, did you just hear what I said? With your anxiety, that shows ownership. It shows that you are owning your anxiety, and that's not a good thing. So something that I talk about first when I work with a client is not owning the self-defeating habits, not owning the anxiety or the illness or the trauma, essentially saying the trauma, the anxiety, the panic attacks, the self-defeating habits. In other words, when you own it, then it becomes part of you. If you say, my anxiety, well, now it's part of you. And really, anxiety is just a symptom. It doesn't have to be part of you. It doesn't have to stay part of you. So just changing how you talk about it, whatever it is for you, is actually a step in the right direction. All right, let's get on to some more questions and then we'll wrap it up. I'm just looking at other questions people have asked. Oh, this is an interesting question. Why does going out of the house make the derealization so much worse? For instance, let's review derealization and depersonalization. DPDR, derealization, is where you feel like you're outside of your body, sort of like you're robotic, where your feelings are kind of turned off. They are turned off. Derealization is where you don't feel part of the world. You feel like you're viewing the world through glass or some structure between you and the rest of the world. These are just coping mechanisms for anxiety. So it's nothing to be afraid of. It's nothing to fear that is going to get worse. People often fear that they're going crazy. Most likely you're not. People with schizophrenia, yes, they kind of experience something similar, but their reality is actually very negative. They hear voices which are very negative, which are telling them to do very negative, harmful, hurtful things. And so that's I'm not a medical doctor. This is not schizophrenia. Depersonalization, derealization are where you just are overwhelmed with your anxiety, with the anxiety that you're feeling, and you sort of pop out of your body and just sort of hover along because it feels safer. It's like OCD. It feels better to make sure everything's straightened up and lined up and everything is just so. It actually is a release for the anxiety. Anxiety really just wants to get out of you. And these are all ways where it can get out of you. What happens is we get stuck in the symptoms. We get stuck thinking about the OCD, about overthinking, about the depersonalization, derealization. We get stuck with that mentality, and we focus on that. Oh, I'm not feeling part of my body right now. I feel like I'm numb. My feelings are numb. I feel numb. It's been going on for days. And we focus and focus and focus on that. And as you know, as a smart individual, what we focus on gets bigger. So if you focus on the healing and focus on what you can do to overcome it, that gets better and more productive rather than focusing on all of the symptoms. So I'm going to end this video here. I hope this helps you. I hope this helps you realize that whatever anxiety you're experiencing and whatever the cause is from the anxiety, trauma from childhood PTSD or complex PTSD, dealing with a narcissist or narcissistic experience, or just life in general, narcissistic boss that you could never do anything right. Wherever your anxiety comes from, the idea is to get to the core of the root cause. Because for every person that has met a narcissist, probably 1 in 3, I think it's estimated, 1 in 3 of us have met a narcissist and been involved with a narcissist, either at work or, through work, or a colleague, or member of the clergy, or someone in a position of power that really uses their narcissism as control. It's not to say all clergy are bad. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that narcissists are everywhere in every field. And if you don't know what a narcissist lacks the ability to feel empathy or love. They fake it. They say the right things in public. Most narcissists, I believe, are covert narcissists, where on the outside everything looks good, but on the inside, behind closed doors, they treat people very, very differently. And they, some narcissists really are, don't hide it too. They don't care how they act. So the point of this video is all about your anxiety, all about, I should say, the anxiety that you're feeling. And let's end on this note. The anxiety that you're feeling can feel like you're carrying a heavy burden everywhere you go. Like you're carrying loads and loads of baggage, luggage, backpack, like you're dragging all this anxiety with you. And it's the one thing you probably want to let go of. It's the one thing that you probably would be happy was out of your life, or that you had control over. If that's you, you can check in the descriptions. I have a Calendly link. It says book a strategy call. What that means is we spend 15 minutes on the phone. I see if you're a good fit for what I do. And if you are, then we schedule a time for a longer conversation to understand fully what it is you're going through, what it is you're experiencing, what it is you want help with. And then we get started. So I hope this finds you well. I will see you in the next video. I'm Mary Richardson, Rapid Transformational Therapy Practitioner. Be well, my friends.